silly one. If the Muslim Brotherhood, out of the present circumstances and situation, is willing to negotiate with a prison coup, and
to make what?
To negotiate with a prison coup, or if there is already a channel of negotiation is taking place. Thank you.
It is not silly and it is not short question. It is a very good question. Thank you. In principle, we're willing to negotiate for the goodness of Egypt with anyone. The problem is not in the national alliance. The problem is the military does not want to negotiate with anyone. The military wants to stay in power. The military would like to control Egypt and control the Egyptians. This is where the problem is. But we're willing to negotiate. But to negotiate on what? This is the problem. We are willing to negotiate with anyone on the future of democracy in Egypt. We're willing to negotiate with anyone on the rule of law, on the freedom of all Egyptians. That's what we're willing to negotiate. The military is still dictatorial in nature, and because they killed so many people, they don't want to negotiate. They're afraid that they are likely to end up in a court somewhere, and that's why this is prevented. But even we suggested that let us find a way out of the existing crisis so that not more Egyptians can get killed. And we are willing to put our hands with anyone to find a better solution for Egypt that is based on legitimacy, based on democracy, based on the rule of law, and based on freedom for all Egyptians. Yes, please.
My question is about the military. How are they being financed? Are there enough weapons in the arsenals of Egypt to kill the population 3 times, and they're still getting more?
Thank you. The question is about who is financing the Egyptian army? Do they have enough money and enough women to kill Egyptians for the 3rd time? You know, the Rab'a massacre is the worst in Egyptian history, modern Egyptian history. Never so many people got killed by its own army and by its own weapons. The army in Egypt, and this is one of the challenges that has faced us and is going to face any other government in the future, controls about 40% of the economy. The army is not really an army that is serving the borders of the country, protecting so that terrorists do not infiltrate, and it's becoming a business complex. That's why the army would like to protect its own business empire. The army sometimes thinks of itself as an empire, as a state within the state. That's part of the problem. Thank you for asking this question. Of course, the army is financed by the United States. The United States pays a lot of money to the army. The reason why the United States of America did not want to call the coup a coup, because they wanted to support the army. Because in America there is a law that says if there is a coup against an elected government, you cannot support that coup. That's why the President of the United States did not want to call it a coup. So that they can, you see what they're doing? They don't want to call it a coup so that they can give money to the coup so that the coup can kill the Egyptian people. And they claim that they're helping the Egyptian people. It's a crime against Egyptians to be killed by their own army. I hope that the army will understand that the course of action it is taking is not the right course. I hope the army can understand that material power is the only solution. I hope the army understands that we're not in a jungle. We're not in a military camp. This is a country very rich in culture. It's been there for thousands of years. The people of Egypt deserve to have a better life, deserve to have their own freedom, deserve to have their own democracy, deserve to be able to decide for themselves. And that is the question in Egypt. There are internal forces who are in control. You know the theory of the 5% 95%. 5% control everything, control 95% of the resources, and 95% live on 5% of the resources. It's a crime. There are people in Egypt today cannot find food to eat. There are people in Egypt today who go sleep in the graveyard because they don't have a place, a decent house. I know people in Luxor who have houses out of mud, does not have running water, does not have sewage system. I know people in Luxor who drink water from a lake that is not good for animals. We have medical services that does not serve the sick in Egypt. There are serious problems. But those 5% who are connected with the world empire, they would like to live like the richest on the face of the earth, but leave the masses of Egyptians suffering under disease, corruption, bribery, monopoly. This situation, that's why Egyptian revolution, remember those four: عيش، حرية، عدالة اجتماعية، كرامة إنسانية. وإعلموا إن اليأس خيانة. These four principles of the Egyptian revolution: a strong economy, freedom, social justice, and human dignity. And Egyptians need not to despair. To despair is treason. You should do all you can. If you enjoy your life here in Switzerland or anywhere in Europe, you need not to forget your people. One day you're going to go back. One day you're going to go and visit. So when you go and visit, you would like to tell your children that they need to be proud of being children of a father from Egypt or a mother from Egypt. That is all about. It's about our dignity as human beings. Can we live as dignified human beings? So the question, Madam, of who finances is the one who benefits from the army being in power. And that's why the United States of America did not want the army to stay out of power, so that it is easier for America and for Europe, unfortunately, and I'm saying some sections so that I don't generalize. Some section in the American system and some sections in European countries prefer to deal with one dictator and not to deal with representative democracy. And this is what I told them when I was a member of the Foreign Relations Committee of the Egyptian Parliament. I told them, now in Egypt we have a democracy. President Morsi is not a dictator. President Morsi is an elected. President Morsi sent me on the head of the delegation to Washington, D.C. And you know what he advised me? He said, Abdul Mawgoud, when you go to D.C., tell them that we're equal. We're not masters and slaves. Now we're equal. We would like to deal with each other on two principles: mutual understanding and mutual respect. Will the world listen? I don't know. But as Egyptians, we're determined to be respected, we're determined to be treated as human beings, and we deserve better treatment than dictatorship.
Just know the math. The military is controlling 40% of the Egyptian economy. 40%.
I used to say something about the dignity. I talked with several people, and they are very proud of what Egypt made now. The traffic system is not functioning at all from the state, but they have organized themselves. By these minibuses, they go all cities, and from city to city they run at fixed prices, very cheap for every Egyptian, and all the time they're running, like here in Switzerland.
Yes.
You have not to wait. There's
Yes.
very few, little time you have to wait until the train bus is full. But only that.
Yes.
The buses you must wait for hours. So it's a great thing. You have proved that you can organize out of nothing.
Oh yes. Oh yes. And you know, sir, right after January 25th revolution. There was no police in the country, but not one church was burned down. Not one single church. We protected the churches. So we will never burn the church, we'll never harm a Christian. Anyone tells you is a lie. Never. They're my brothers and my sister, and we have to be able to work together in this regard.
I have one question about the army. I was told about such people working in the army that the big officers, they have large, huge farms, and they let the army, as the soldiers, work as slaves. But what I also heard, that the Morsi people, that when they come to government, they bought farmland very, very cheap from the poor farmers, and they sold it to the members of the party. So this is not justice. This is also corruption. And they told me they are as corrupt as we are. We cannot. What are they? What shall we do with them?
I challenge this. This is not true. And if any members of the Muslim Brotherhood cheats, he should be brought to justice. He should be taken to court. No corruption. We need a country that has no corruption. We need the president and everyone else, sir, to be held accountable. I don't believe as a member of the Freedom and Justice Party, I never had any piece of land. I never sold any piece of land. And I don't know any member in the party took any land and sold it to its mom. We cannot do this. It is not only not right, but it is illegal. And anyone has an evidence for this, take it to the court. And if they did it, they deserve to be punished. Sir, I will never protect corruption. Never in my life. I am for accountability. I am for justice for all. All of us need to be fair. If there is some, when I was a member of the parliament, I got 2 jobs. Offers were given to us as members of the parliament. You know what I did? I did not give them to my family members. I made an announcement in Luxor, and you can ask them. And I said, whoever is interested in this, please apply. And I asked the committee to look into the applications and to choose the best away from me. And we have many cases like this in Egypt. So we're not really for corruption. No, it is not fair that anyone tells you, sir, that we are the same with the old regime. Never. And I challenge it again and again. And I tell them, please don't be silent. If you see me or any member of the Freedom and Justice Party does something wrong, take them to court, and I will be the first to support them.
Just if I may comment for this point, right now there is plenty of rumors, and I will tell you two big examples. The first one, after the coup, they mentioned that they found a lot of documents against Dr. Morsi, and he will be sent to judge according to these documents. And then it ended up with nothing. We see nothing. So I will tell you something. Right now, everyone is against the Muslim Brotherhood, the media, the police, the military, everything. So why are these accusations not sent to the court? Because there's nothing.
And please keep searching. Don't believe all what I said, but keep searching. And anyone tells you something, please tell them, bring the evidence.
I will ask him.
Yeah.
I have his email.
And I will be happy to give you my email. Let me know the evidence. Yes.
Sir, you gave 4 scenarios of what can happen. And I'm thinking, don't you fear something like with Hamas? Because Hamas was elected by a democratic election. It was not recognized, and they are just pushed aside. Couldn't this state of affairs also continue like this in Egypt, that you have to deal with a coup, you have to deal with a military dictator, and there is no democratic, new democratic election, or the one who was elected, Dr. Morsi, is not favorable because maybe he's Muslim or he's more pro-Muslim Brotherhood or he's too religious or whatever, and so we have to get rid of him.
Who is we?
Well, these people who are interested on top there.
Yeah, that is where the problem is. Who should decide for Egypt? Is it the Egyptian or the people who exist somewhere? It has to be the Egyptians. And Egyptians elected President Morsi. President Morsi did not come by force. And the Muslim Brotherhood did not really bring tanks and took over the country. He was elected, and the only way to remove him is to have another election.
But President Obama said after the coup, well, no coup, he said there must be a democratic solution. So this means Morsi should be back.
No, he didn't mean that. What he meant, yeah, I wish he meant what you're a good human being. He
It
did.
should be the logical.
It should be the logical, but he meant something strange. He meant that the military makes another election and they bring someone else that the military like. It does not become election, it becomes a Mubarak style. This is the third scenario, Mubarak style democracy. It is democracy but no democracy.
So how can one expect that the United States or Europe recognize democracy?
That question should be directed to the United States and Europe. European citizens should really push hard on their governments and tell them that is not acceptable. There are good people in Europe, very good people in Europe. I met so many of them, and I think they can push, and they have the right to question their own members of parliament. Tell them, I need an answer about what happened in Egypt, and why are we supporting the military coup, or why are we silent about the military coup? It's very important. Americans are doing this. Yesterday, I encourage you, please, if you put online Jerry Conley, is a congressman from Virginia. He was in a hearing, and he said it very clearly that this is wrong, we should not support it, and he said, I am ashamed of being an American, and my government is supporting such a coup, or something in this meaning. I'm not quoting him, I'm just paraphrasing what he said. So there are voices now are coming back and saying that is not acceptable. And I expect this because the alternative, we are all going to lose. Look at Algeria. You mentioned Algeria and Hamas. And let us take the example of Algeria. In 1992, Algerians believed in democracy. They went to the polls. They succeeded in democracy. What happened? The military intervened. And then put the elected officials in jail. For what? They were elected. They did no crime. And the world was watching. Europe was watching. And then what? A civil war erupted. About 150 to 200,000 people got killed. For whose sake? Why human beings in this part of the world have to suffer that much to be able to be free? But
they are not free. Algeria are not free.
That's my next point, sir. And wait, this is the gentleman who said it very clearly what I was going to say. Look at Algeria after 22 years. Algerians are not free. Not only that, Algeria is a failed state. And not only that, young Algerians are not anymore interested in politics. They're not interested in their own country. They have lost the sense of belonging. And that's an environment for people being crazy or people becoming extremists. And that can lead to terrorism. Easily can lead to terrorism. And that's what we would like to tell Europe, and we'd like to tell to America and to tell the rest of the world the course of action going in Egypt now. And I hope that ladies and gentlemen who are sitting here, don't just go and sleep over what is being said to them. Please, take an action. Write to the newspaper, talk to your representative, Talk to your government officials. We need answers. Why are you silent? If you're not silent, why you're not saying something against the killings of thousands, imprisoning of thousands? Those are human beings. And you know what? If Europe can do this, Europe can win the hearts and minds of Egyptian, Arabs, and Muslims. If Europe can do this, it will send a strong message saying to the Egyptians, hey, we are for your democracy the same as we are. At this moment, Egyptians will be able to build better bridges of understanding. At this moment, this fear between Europe and the Muslim world is likely to start dropping down. It's likely to disappear. And if we can really move in this direction, it will be good for Egyptians, it will be good for Arabs, it will be good for Muslims, and it will also be good for Europeans.
Gibt es noch Fragen? Also questions?
According to Europe, it was France who supported this in Algeria. And France and America working together. So you must fight yourself, not listening to Europe. You be strong yourself and fight for your freedom. And gain this freedom. We are not interested in a free Egypt because my best pupils in my school are all Muslims. They are the better Christian. I told that in Egypt. The best Christians come to Europe. The best Christians, you will find that they are the Muslims. They are real Christians. They behave as Christians should do.
Thank you.
So, they are not interested in this because Christianity is forgotten in Europe. See? And then this is this complete atheist society.
You see the message of the people have to fight for their freedom.
Yes.
That is a fact. The reason why I talked about Europe a lot is because Europe keeps talking about democracy, human rights, and rule of law. If this coup succeeds, Europe and America have to stop talking about democracy, human rights, and rule of law. Because Egyptians will be the best witnesses to say to them in their eyes, you lied to us. You told us democracy, we believed you. We practiced it, we were sent to jail. We were killed in the streets, and you did not come by our side. You see, sir, the reason why I want Europe and America to be part of the solution, because I don't want them to be part of the problem. I believe in this one world concept, that we're all human beings. And we need to stand up for one another. We need to be able to support one another. This is my concern. I don't believe that Europe is against Islam or Muslims are against Europe. I believe that we are all human beings, and we, if we work together, can make a difference. This is my message to you, sir, and to everyone sitting here. If we can work together, we will be able to make a big difference. And we all become winners. And we all can have a better future for our children in the coming years, inshallah.
عاوز اقول له بس دكتور شرفتنا، شرفت سويسرا منوره بيك. وانا محمد عزمي من بير اتحاد رابعه سويسرا. قبل ما اقول السؤالين اللي عاوز اقولهم، عاوز اقول ان مصر من 7000 سنه، صحيح انا ما عشتش 7000 سنه لكن التاريخ بيكتب نفسه. مصر ما شافتش سنه حريه طول ال 7000 سنه الا سنه الدكتور محمد مرسي. ال 60 سنه اللي انا عشتهم على وجه الدنيا دي، لكن عمري ما شفت حريه في مصر زي سنه الدكتور محمد مرسي. اما السؤال اللي انا عاوز اساله الاول، احنا دايما بنقول سلميه 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 سلميه. الى مدى سلميتنا دي هتجيب نتيجه؟ وهل في وسائل اخرى غير السلميه؟ السؤال الثاني، الاخوان المسلمين من يوم ما على الاقل اتكلم من يوم ما انا اتولدت، عمري ما شفت شيء للإخوان المسلمين في الواقع في الحياة إلا إنهم في السجون مسجونين مفوهين يعني مكممي الأفواه محدد إقامتهم عليهم جواسيس ما يقدروش يعملوا أي شيء. أنا الإخوان المسلمين اللي أنا أعرفهم طول عمري طول ال60 سنة اللي أنا عشتهم لما قامت الثورة وجاء الدكتور مرسي ليه؟ أنا بسؤالي بقى ليه الإخوان أو جت الفرصة دلوقتي؟ ليه الإخوان ما كونوش رابطة ليهم؟ يعني عاوز أقول حاجة كمان نسيت أقولها إن طول عمر الإعلام اللي بنسمعه عن الإخوان المسلمين إن هم إرهابيين وإن هم كل ده بيجي منين؟ من الحكومات اللي هي سجناهم والإعلام بيبقى تبع هذه الحكومات فالإعلام بيوزع للعالم كله أو للناس كلها الأخبار من الحكومة اللي هي سجنة الناس دي والناس دي مش قادرة تدافع عن نفسها. طيب أما الوقت جت الثورة قامت ليه ما بدأتش الإخوان المسلمين تدافع عن أهدافها وعن مبادئها وعن صورتها قدام العالم كله وتفهم العالم إن إحنا مش قادرين ندافع عن نفسنا ومش قادرين نقول وجهة نظرنا وإحنا دايما في السجون ولا والحكومات هي اللي ظلمانة هي اللي بتقول عننا كل الأخبار.
نعم.
وشكرا.
شكرا لحضرتك يا أستاذ محمد. I thank you for your welcoming statement, and I'm really happy to meet you and to meet everyone. Really happy to. This is my first visit here, and hopefully will not be the last. And I hope we can come again, and I hope that R4BIA SWISS will flourish, and I expect to see more members from all freedom lovers in the world. We would like to see so many people can work for freedom and justice and rule of law for all. Concerning your observation, and I 100% agree with you. Muhammad is saying that the year that Morsi was in power, for him, was the best year ever he felt free in Egypt.
The only year.
Or the only year in all his life. And I agree with him, 100%. I teach in a university that is 1 hour driving from my home. During Mubarak years, when I go and teach, I get stopped 5 or 6 times. During Morsi's years, not once. Checkpoints, there was no need for them. And I will go teach and then come back. If they want to question me, they need to question me in a nice way. Not to control me, not to humiliate me, but they can question me. That is very true. In Morsi's year, we really felt as honorable human beings. We were really felt this dignity, sir. Felt this, that we're really dignified. And even in the airport, you go to all airports in the world, you find, especially large airports, you find lines for the citizens of that country and lines for the visitors. In Egypt, it's all the same. So as a member of parliament, someone contacted me from Libya, is a professor, a colleague of mine, told me, Dr. Dardery, in every country we see lines for the citizens, lines for the visitors. Why don't we have something similar to this in Egypt? And because I was an elected member of the parliament, I went to the police. I said, sir, why don't you do this and this and that? He said, okay, in a couple of weeks when you come next time, doctor, you will find the signs. And he did put the signs there. And he made 4 signs for the visitors, 4 signs or 5 signs for the Egyptians, and Egyptians were so happy. So I went to him and I said, thank you, sir. You kept your word. He said, you know what? So many people came and thanked us for this. You know, we felt it's our country. We felt that sense of belonging that we would like to make it better. We would like to provide better services. We would like to do better education. I used to spend hours in my presentations in the university so that I help the students to have a better understanding of the subject material. You know, that love of your country. I know you all love Switzerland because it loves you back. But history of modern Egypt, you love Egypt, but Egypt does not love back. Only in that year of mercy, we found out that Egypt can love us back. So I totally agree with you, sir. Concerning your two important questions. And the first question, many people ask it nowadays. Many people. The question is this: how far are you going to stay peaceful? You hear the question? That question is heard in many places in Egypt now. Young people are saying we're put in jail, we're killed, we're treated as subhumans. And you, Freedom and Justice Party, still calling for peacefulness? I say this: we will remain peaceful. It's a strategic decision because we believe it is a political conflict that needs to be solved peacefully. The drop of blood of any Egyptian is so precious to all of us. Violence breeds more violence, and killings breed more killings. And that is not, honestly speaking, to be honest with you, that is not part of our strategy to be violent. We will remain peaceful. Yes, we're suffering. Yes, thousands of us are in jail, and thousands are killed. But it is better for us, and it is better for the country, to prove to the world that we're a non-violent political movement, that we want the goodness for Egypt and the goodness for the Egyptian people. Your second question is, the gentleman here says, since he was born, and all what he hears about the Muslim Brotherhood, they're either in jail or coming out of jail. So before they come out of jail, another group gets in jail. So why during that year didn't you do something so that you stop this? You see, we believed in democracy. We were really the true Democrats. We believe that the best protection comes from the people of Egypt. It is not the government that protects you only, it is not the military, it is not the police, it is the people of Egypt. And we still trust that the people of Egypt will do the same protection it did in the past. And I tell you, I congratulate the Egyptian people. In the past elections, look at what they gave to the Muslim Brotherhood members. Sometimes 40% of the election, sometimes 50%, sometimes 70%. That's a sign of love. And it is better for us to love one another than to hate one another. It is better for us that I love you as my brother and you love me. And love is an important element that Egypt needs now. And we will keep working on it until hopefully we'll be able to get to a better understanding with everyone else.
So, herzlichen Dank. Uns interessiert noch eine letzte Frage, wie Sie von der Veranstaltung erfahren haben. Darf ich Sie fragen, von der Zeitung?
Ja,
von der Zeitung.
Zwei Inserate gesehen.
Und Sie?
Also ganz klein.
Auch vom Inserat. Und Sie? Ja. Ah, okay, gut. Nur, dass wir wissen, wie das funktioniert. Also nochmals herzlichen Dank und wir hoffen, dass wir Sie bei unseren nächsten Veranstaltungen auch begrüßen dürfen. Wenn Sie noch wollen, dass wir Sie direkt informieren, wären wir auch dankbar, wenn Sie eine Kontaktmöglichkeit, Telefon oder E-Mail bei uns hinterlassen. Dann können wir Sie auch über nächste oder folgende Aktionen und Veranstaltungen informieren. Dankeschön.